The UK's Online Safety Act risks seriously infringing free speech, says X. I'm going to read into this more from The Guardian, you guys. Elon Musk's social media platform says lawmakers make a consensus decision to increase censorship. Now, there are parts of the Online Safety Act where, when it comes to infringing free speech, I do agree with. However, there are also parts of it where its intentions are, in my view, do come across as good intentions, trying to protect children from online harmful content. However, I don't think it's a case of this Online Safety Act. I do think it was done with the good intentions. It's just not been thought fully through about how it went. Some people actually think it's not gone far enough. A YouGov poll recently said that the majority of Britons, especially those who took participating in the poll, actually think it's a good thing, the Online Safety Act. There is obviously this counter argument, and it's not just from X and Elon Musk, but it's also from Reform UK, who think that this act is an infringement on free speech. Peter Carl, the technology secretary, says that those who are against this law basically are supporters of paedophiles and philanthropists, in which he accused Nigel Farage of being one of those supporters, which Nigel Farage has strongly denied. I understand the importance of free speech. I understand the importance of people being able to roam the internet to a certain extent. But I don't know if the Online Safety Act is something that is working. I think it needs serious amendments. I'm not fully on board about scrapping it completely, which some people are thinking. I do think as soon as Parliament is recalled after summer recess, they need to make some serious concessions to it. Because the main crux of the intention of it was to protect children. And as soon as it came into law, VPNs just went skyrocketed. And in some social media platforms, there have been, and obviously I know from experience, like for example, Blue Sky, you have to verify your age. Certain on X, I've not had any approach where I've basically been told by X that I've been in my use of X personally, I've not been censored in any way, shape or form, at least not yet. But as far as I'm aware, but maybe it's because I'm not somebody that looks at adult content. Maybe some other people do, and they've had that experience. But I guess it just depends on the kind of content you look at, I suppose, is my assumption there. I've not had anything from Facebook, not had anything from TikTok. I do know that based on from different social media outcomes and what people have said, some adult sites obviously have put up the age verification and whatnot, but some have not. So people need to understand, because there's so many websites out there, so many social medias out there, not everyone is following through. And I do think there is in part an infringing on free speech to a certain extent. However, I just think that I do think it's being that this is being used as a political football to attack people, to claim that as a political football more than anything, rather than actually looking at it in the terms of trying to protect people, trying to protect children from online content. Which, if people really want to see certain content, they're going to see it one way or another, and this is supposed to kind of help mitigate that. But with the power of VPNs, it's not that. It's quite easy to bypass it, especially if people know about VPNs, and teenagers can figure it, and teenagers are smart enough to figure it out. So Elon Musk's X platform has said that the UK's Online Safety Act, the RSA, says it's at risk of seriously infringing free speech as a row deepens over measures for protecting children from harmful content. We all agree that we want to protect children from harmful content. The question is how do we do it? And I don't think a blanket ban or making it more difficult for people to access certain content may not be the solution. It may make things worse than actually better. The social media company said that the Act's laudable intentions were being overshadowed by its aggression implementations by the communications watchdog Ofcom. So in a statement posted on X, on the platform, X said, many are now concerned that a planned obscenity intended to keep children safe is at a risk of serious infringing on the public's right to free expression. It added that the risk was not a surprise to the UK government because by passing the RSA, lawmakers have had to make a consensus decision to increase censorship in the name of online safety. It is fair to ask if UK citizens were equally aware of the trade-offs being made to, said the statement. The act, the bugbear of the political right on both sides of the Atlantic, has come under renewed scrutiny after new restrictions on under 18s accessing pornography and viewing content harmful to children came into force on the 25th of July. Musk, ex-owner, said days after the rule came into force that the act's purpose was suppression of the people. He also retweeted a petition calling for the repeal of the act that has garnered more than 450,000 signatures. X has been urged to age restrict some content as a consequence, with the Reform UK party adding to the furlough by pledging to repeal the Act. Reform's commitment proposed by the UK's Technology Secretary Peter Kyle to accuse Nigel Farage of siding with philanthropy Jimmy Savile, a comment Farage described as below the belt and deserving of an apology. Nigel Farage has no right to demand an apology from anyone or anything. The only thing he should, as far as I'm concerned, because he's not sorry for the damage that he has caused to Brexit, for the consistent lies that he spews to people. So, if anyone the one person in politics who doesn't deserve an apology, it's Nigel Farage. Yeah, he has no composure, he has no care whatsoever about ordinary people. The comments were unacceptable, in my opinion, from Peter Kyle, but Nigel Farage demanded an apology. We demand one from him. Referring to Ofcom, X says regulators had taken a heavy-handed approach to enforce the Act by rapidly increasing enforcement resources and adding layers of bureaucracy oversight. The statement said the Act's laudable intentions are at risk of being overshadowed by the breadth of its regulatory reach. Without a more balanced collaborative approach, free speech will suffer. X says it was complacent with the Act, but in the threat of enforcements and fines, in which the case of social media platforms such as X could be as high as 10% of global turnover, and it could encourage censorship of legitimate content in order to avoid punishment. Yeah, this is the part. There is content which is not a threat to people that could be censored because people don't want to face any lawsuits. And that's a problem there. Not content that is harmful to children, not content that is harmful for adults, but content that may be seen as harmful when it's not, because there is such a thing as a grey area. Statement also mentions plans to create a national internet intelligence investigation team to monitor social media for signs of anti-migrant disorder. X says the proposals may be positioned as a safety measures, but it clearly goes far beyond that intent. I'm for a national internet intelligence investigation team. I think that's definitely needed to help protect us. But I do think there are lines as well. I remember what I've always said: the internet is a wild west, and I do wonder if the internet will ever no longer become the wild west. It said the moves to set off alarm bells for free speech activists who characterize it as excessive, potentially restrictive. A balanced approach is the only way to protect individual liberties, encourage innovation, and safeguarding children. Education is a very fundamental thing when it comes to protecting our children from online content. It has to be a huge amount of it must come from parents as well as from schools when it comes as they're growing up, to make them understand the dangers of the internet. Spokesperson for Ofcom said the RSA contained provisions protecting freedom of speech. They said the new rules require tech firms to take criminal content and prevent children from seeing defined types of material that's harmful to them. There is no requirement on them to restrict legal consent for adult users. In fact, they must carefully consider how they protect users' right to freedom of expression while keeping their users safe. UK's Department for Science, Innovation and Technology has been approached for comment. I think it's interesting comment. It is interesting from X's point of view here. Again, like I do see the arguments for free speech. I do see that. And I do feel that there is intention here to try and protect children with this as well. However, it could have a worsening effect. Some people have said that they feel that this is going to make things worse rather than make people feel safer, especially their children. I do think a lot of it comes down to how people raise their children, and I do think it comes down to a lot of education. I think one of our biggest failures has been the education side. Now, obviously, I'm not a parent, so it's hard for me to put myself in the shoes of a parent to try and teach their kids try and teach their kids in this environment, because it's extremely difficult. But it really I do feel a lot of pressure is down on parents to take ownership and responsibility on this a lot. I don't think it is just the government trying to implement laws and changes. I actually think my position is that it needs to be done on an international basis with cross references from the majority of Western governments, most democratic governments, if you want to call them democratic, like US, France, Germany, whatnot. Most countries working together to find a solution to protect children, in working in cross coordination with them. I think coordination with other nations to find ways to suppress harmful content, and doing it in a way that works in cooperation. Because the problem is that with the internet, not everyone is from the UK. People are from different parts of the world, and that's why people are turning to VPNs as to bypass a lot of this as well. So it is a problem. There needs to be a solution to this. But there's not. But it doesn't seem. But in my view, there's not really a clear one to do so. It is a very grey and a complex issue, because we want to protect children from harmful content, but at the same time, we don't want to infringe people's freedom of speech as well. So there is a balance, and it's just trying to find that balance, I feel. But what do you guys honestly think? What do you guys make of what X and Elon Musk have said with regards to the UK's Online Safety Act? How do you guys feel about it at the moment? Let me know your thoughts and more on this topic down in the comments below. If you found this video informative or helpful to you, hit that like button, share this across social media, subscribe if you haven't already. Check out Rumble and Patreon for exclusive content on those platforms. And if you want to financially support me in the work that I do here, click the join button down below to become a YouTube member for as little as 99p. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.